The Biden administration is expected to announce today that the U.S. will provide cluster bombs to Ukraine. That's according to administration and Defense Department officials. More than 120 countries have banned these munitions as inhumane and indiscriminate. The U.S., Ukraine, and Russia are three countries that have not signed on to that convention, which prohibits the production, stockpiling, and use of cluster bombs. Joining me now is NBC Pentagon correspondent Courtney Kube, Michael Crowley, the diplomatic correspondent for The New York Times, Nathalie Loiseau, a member of the European Parliament and a former member of the Macron government. Welcome to all of you. So, Courtney, you've been reporting on this before anyone else. So how quickly could the U.S. get these weapons to Ukraine as the counteroffensive is kind of slogging through a very tough Russian defense?
They can get there very quickly. In fact, we know now that there are upwards of 10,000 of these munitions that are already forward-based, sitting in Europe, ready to be moved into Ukraine, just waiting for that go-ahead. So we could see those literally transferred into Ukraine in the coming days, Andrea. And why this is so critical right now is there is a continued difficulty in getting artillery to Ukraine. They are running through thousands and thousands of artillery rounds in this very brutal war. And it's difficult to get the 155 millimeter artillery shells to them in the number that they need. Well, that's where these cluster munitions come in. They have the ability to sort of take up where some of those artillery shortfalls come in. But you used the word indiscriminate when you were describing it, and that's where this becomes controversial. Now, when these cluster munitions explode, they release a series of what are called bomblets, essentially tiny little bombs. They disperse over a wide area, and that's where this indiscriminate notion comes in. It has the ability, and some of them have the ability to pierce armor or to go after personnel, what the military calls frags or fragmentation of the explosive, which can hurt and kill people in the path. But there also is, at times, with some of these munitions, a high dud rate. What that means is some of these bomblets don't explode when they're supposed to. Now, according to the officials we've been speaking to about this for now several weeks, the specific munitions that the U.S. would give to Ukraine here have a very low dud rate, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.3 to 2.5% or so dud rate. And that's one of the reasons that they feel, with this need that the Ukraine has for this counteroffensive, that it's a relatively small chance that there would be the potential for civilians to be killed after the fact if they don't explode when they're supposed to, Andrea.
Michael, you know these weapons are controversial, and Courtney's explained why, banned by most of the world. And the New York Times is reporting today that Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State, was the last to sign on to this in the National Security Council. They expect it to be announced this afternoon sometime, potentially. What are the concerns about the diplomatic fallout?
Yeah, Andrea, I think that Secretary Blinken, I'm sure, had humanitarian concerns, as everyone does, about the potential effect on civilians of these weapons. But he is also primarily responsible for managing our alliances, and in particular, our alliance in support of Ukraine. And I think he understands that this is going to be offensive to many of our allied countries whose populations thought that these weapons were basically over and done with. They may not want to be associated with the war effort in which these are being used to this extent. Clearly, I don't think this one issue is going to break up the coalition, but Secretary Blinken and the Biden administration have really been quite intensely focused on trying to maintain very tight unity, not have daylight between the members of the coalition that are supporting Ukraine. And this is an issue where you are probably going to see some other governments have to say, we don't approve of this. We don't like this. I believe the French and the Germans have already spoken out, although in fairly mild terms. So I'm sure a lot of diplomatic spade work was done ahead of time. And at a minimum, if these other countries aren't signing off, I think that there was a lot of work to say, hey, let's try to keep this as quiet and as private as possible, so as not to, show cracks within our coalition, because unity against the Russians is so fundamentally important.
And announcing it on a Friday afternoon in the summer is one way to try to downplay the coverage back here at home. Natalie, it's good to see you again. So what do you expect the reaction in France will be to this? Will it be muted or?
No, I'm certain Going to be a strong debate because, as you said, these munitions are banned, and for good reasons. And we all know that we have to ramp up our efforts to support Ukraine, but we also have to ramp up our diplomatic efforts for moral leadership in this war. And I'm not sure this helps. I don't understand why there were so many red lines from the allies, including the US, as regards fighter jets. And now breaking the red line about banned ammunitions. We in Europe are working right now to ramp up our manufacturing of ammunitions. We just decided 500 million euros to incentivize our industries to manufacture faster and better for Ukraine, certainly not through cluster ammunitions.
And do you think it's going to become an issue at the NATO summit? We're heading to Vilnius next week.
The main issue at the NATO summit, there are two main issues. The first is to give security guarantees to Ukraine and not to be reluctant to open the door widely to Ukraine after the war is over for NATO membership. And the second one is to twist arms of Turkey so that Sweden stops being blackmailed by one of the NATO members. This is what we expect, including from Washington.
Natalie, thanks to you, thanks to Michael, and of course, Courtney Kruby, to all of you, as we look forward to the NATO meeting next week.